behalf of Her Excellency Major Retired Jessica Lupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. On her behalf, I convey her apology. I also extend her appreciation to the United Nations, the African Union Commission, and the government of Ethiopia for convening this important meeting. Excellencies, we meet at a moment of critical importance across the globe. Food systems are facing unprecedented stress from climate change and rising food prices to conflict and lasting effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, the ambition to end hunger, achieve food security, and ensure healthy diets for all has never been more urgent nor more achievable. Uganda stands with the global community in reaffirming that transforming our food systems is no longer optional. It is essential. This is not only about feeding people, it's about nourishing them. It is about promoting health, it's about equity, it's about resilience in our societies. Excellencies, Uganda has made important strides in improving nutrition outcomes. I have many examples, but I'll limit what I'll give out because of time. Between 2016 and 2022, child stunting declined from 29% to 26%, and underweight prevalence dropped from 14% to just over 10%. These achievements reflect $8 billion. To save
Thank you, Your Excellency, for. Thank you, Your Excellency, for this inspiring opening, setting the scene and sharing the experience of Uganda, and also providing some recommendations. I like what you said. It's not about feeding, it's about nourishing. And also calling for coordinated approach at national and at regional level. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite you all to hear a video message from the DG, Director General of the World Health Organization. Thank you. After such powerful words from DG Tedros and the commitment of WHO, I would like to invite you to turn your attention to another video message from His Majesty King Letsie III of Lesotho.
as everyone's business. Let us leave this summit with a clear message. Nutritious food is not a privilege, but a universal right. By deepening solidarity, honoring accountability, and sustaining the investments we have begun, we can create an Africa and a world where every person
so with His
has the
Majesty's
opportunity to
words
thrive.
kept in our mind, I would like to hand over the moderation to Dr. Lynette Norfield, Director of the Nutrition Division of FAO, that will conduct the discussion during the next high-level dialogue. Thank you, Minister. Thank you. It was an honor. Where is Lynette? Lynette will sit here.
Thank you.
So, Lynette, before you start the panel, please give us some framing remarks from FAO side, some point of view to steer this discussion. Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Muhtar, and the team who put together this session for the opportunity to participate and to say a few words in getting started. So 2 years ago, many of us met in Rome for the Stocktake +2. For me, it was still in my early days, having recently joined FAO. And many of us during that meeting were excited about the opportunity, but were left wanting more. We wanted to hear more about healthy diets. We wanted to hear more about the links between food systems and nutrition. And I have to say that at what I've seen so far in this meeting, we're there. The fact that we have a session on healthy diets, but right from the very beginning, in the words said by many of the heads of state and many of the high-level participants in the opening panel, healthy diets are clearly now placed central to food systems transformation, which is really wonderful. We cannot, however, be naive in thinking that food systems are going to pivot instantly from the challenges that we've been hearing to food systems that deliver for healthy diets and all of the other outcomes that food systems must continue to deliver on. Food systems serve economic, trade, environment, and other aims in countries. And in many countries, they drive national economic growth and development goals. They can foster environmental commitments and are under constant threat from climate change. Food systems in most countries are not optimized currently to achieve these multiple outcomes while nourishing populations today and in tomorrow, and that must change. At FAO, in the Nutrition Division, we are working closely with colleagues in other divisions and our country counterparts to use data and evidence to support the optimization of food systems policies and investments to achieve healthy diets for better nutrition alongside economic, environment, and social goals. Dietary guidelines and data, dietary data, to understand current dietary patterns and track progress on changes over time are fundamental inputs into that process. Without them, we're driving that car blind in terms of what we can and must achieve for healthy diets. We're very happy to now be the custodian of the minimum dietary diversity score for women, which in March this year was accepted as a new SDG indicator, and that's a step in the right direction. As we've heard, 2025 has been an important year for nutrition, starting with the Nutrition for Growth Summit, and we at FAO, like many other organizations, made substantial commitments at F4G to integrate nutrition into our productive sectors and all areas of FAO's work. To support this effort, we are updating our organizational nutrition strategy, which we'll look forward to, and we look forward to sharing that with you all later this year. The second commitment that we made is to double down on our support to countries with relevant, up-to-date, and accurate data and evidence to inform and support their food systems transformations agendas. And I would be pleased to share more details on that. In the interest of time, I'll stop there. Thank you. All right, wonderful. I think we have our panelists here now. If it's okay, I will introduce each of them now, and then we can move through the questions. So I'm very pleased to welcome the Honorable Daniel Simeon Selema, Minister of Agriculture of Mali. Welcome. I'm also pleased to welcome the Honorable Minister Ruben Mtolo Firi, the Minister of Agriculture of Zambia. Mr. Leonard Adipurnama, alias Tega Sambodo, Deputy for Food, Natural Resources and Environment of the Republic of Indonesia. And of course, our friend and colleague, Ms. Afshan Khan, the UN Assistant General Secretary and Scaling Up Movement Coordinator. So first, Mali's not here. Okay. So first I am going to jump, apologies for that, I'm going to jump to Zambia. Zambia recognizes that ending malnutrition requires food systems transformation. Zambia's National Food and Nutrition Act places nutrition oversight directly under the Vice President's office. A comprehensive food systems pathway puts ensuring access to safe and nutritious food for all as a core goal. Can you please tell us how Zambia is working to not only boost production, but also shift consumption patterns towards healthier diets? Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much. And important to say thank you to Ethiopia, thank you to Italy, thank you to the conveners of this lovely gathering. Yes, Zambia has placed the effects of the Act to be translated to society by the second highest office in Zambia, and that is the Vice President's office. That goes to underscore what we have heard all morning, that the first thing we need in this transformation is political will. That is the whole essence why it has been placed at the Vice President's office. The Vice President's office is supported by a committee of permanent secretaries, and it cascades downwards to our provinces. In between, you have our Nutrition Commission, and then goes down to the districts and up to the ward. So the whole structure is well outlined so that politically we have the effect at all the stages. Now, to answer the other question, I would divide my response in two. One, what are we doing to boost production? And then last, what are we doing to make sure that there's a shift in consumption so that we have proper feeding, dietary issues? So when we look at the issue of production, again, we have very serious political will. Right now in Zambia, wherever our president is, the first thing he will talk about is to enhance food production in the country. Most of us seated here will know that Zambia, a country in the southern part of Africa, is actually dominated economically by mining. But we want to go back to agriculture so that we can feed ourselves, have sovereignty, and also take advantage of our position to support in food supply in the region. Because we are surrounded not by water, but by 8 countries, and then a small portion of water, and then there's another country. So we have 9 neighbors. We are landlocked, which we have now changed to say we are land-linked. So we don't like the term locked. We are linked. So with that support from the President, it is important for the esteemed House here to know that in Zambia, production is mainly by the small-scale farmers. However, you have a few large-scale farmers whose productivity is so high that they outdo, in nominal terms, the small-scale farmers' production. And I think this is common, where you have many, many small-scale farmers whose productivity is so low, very few big farmers whose productivity is so high, and we have to balance this. Now, Zambia's economy, in terms of employment, is actually agriculture-oriented. The money comes in with the minerals. When we sell our copper, we sell our gold, cobalt, uranium, and all sorts of beautiful minerals. We get quite some substantial inflow of foreign exchange. But the mines employ very little of the Zambian community. It's agriculture where you have a lot of employment. So we place a lot of value in that. Now, what are we doing to boost our production? We have made sure that we now attack the issue of extension, which in most less developed countries is a big issue. Extension services very poor. Worldwide, there is a guide that don't have one extension officer with 400, don't have one extension officer with more than 400 farmers. In Zambia, we have one extension officer with almost 1,500 farmers. So extension is poor, and we have identified that, and we are working on that. Financing. The whole morning I've been listening to colleagues talk. Agriculture financing, very expensive. It is not sustainable. It cannot work. So we are working on that in Zambia. We are working on the financial system so that we have got special financing for agriculture with interest rates that can afford the farmers to cultivate at payback. We are also now looking seriously at irrigation and mechanization. Most of us would know that 2 years ago, Zambia suffered its worst drought in history. Our production dropped, and in a long, long time, we had to import maize. And we imported maize from Tanzania to feed our population. We are grateful to Tanzania. We are grateful to the Africa Free Trade arrangements. It was easy to import that maize. Now, having suffered that, we said, what should we do? We are now promoting seriously irrigation and seriously mechanization. All these are meant to boost production. The President has given us very simple key performance indicators. I've got figures. You, Minister, I want you to produce in the next 2 years, 3 years, 10 million metric tons of maize. Meanwhile, we are producing about 4 million metric tons. I hope the President is not listening to this back home. So I have to work very hard with my group that we reach up to the 10 million tons. Wheat, 1 million tons. Soybeans, 1 million tons. And we have got another compact which has been given to us through the High initiative. We are putting in there honey, fish, and of course, the livestock aspect. So we are working very hard to boost production. You will be happy to note I can put a smile on all of you. During the drought, we produced about 1.5 million metric tons. That's what happened. Our crops dried. We are a country that needs about 3 million tons of grain. But last year, from the drought, we produced the best crop ever of maize, which is our major staple, up to close to 4 million metric tons, and we are absolutely proud of that. So colleagues around us who want a bit of maize to buy from us, we are here this time to sell you some maize. So those are the things we are doing. Another issue which we are working very hard on is market access. You need market for people to produce, and we are making sure that we do that. We are also facilitating very seriously government policies. Right now, when you come to cultivate in Zambia, our borders are open for export. There is no export restriction in Zambia. We are the greatest suppliers of seed in Africa. Our seed industry is flourishing. We sell our seed without any restrictions. The same with food grains. Those are some of the small issues that Zambia, which is 75 million hectares in size, 45 million hectares arable land, 20 million people. So Zambia is really empty. We are looking for people to come and help us farm. We are only using 7 million hectares. So we have a lot of room for engagement from outside.
Thank you,
Let me
Minister.
very quickly run to what we are doing to shift the consumption patterns. If you look at me, if I stood here, I'm not very tall. A very good example of what stunting could be. Sorry for those who are shorter than me, no insult at all. Now, why? In Zambia, our feeding has been very poor. In the morning, we have porridge. If your income is better, you can have a little bit of tea, milk, and wheat products, etc. But we eat porridge with sugar. Lunchtime, and porridge is made from corn, maize. Lunchtime, a thicker porridge, which we call shima. It's common in Africa. Some call it fufu, some call it ugali, etc. We just change the relish. That is lunch. In the evening, the same. We just change the relish. The same thick porridge. So as a result, you get people like me. So we are very happy to be here so that we can together learn. We can also learn why certain countries have taller people than us.
Thank you.
It's not only genetics, but I think it's a question of food also. So what are we doing for that? We have what we call our Farmer Input Support Program, which is a subsidy program. This program now we have put 8 other seeds: maize, soybean, sweet beans, rice, sunflower, sorghum, groundnuts, cowpeas, so that we can improve our diet. Yes, I think I'm being warned on time, isn't it? I have 1 minute, thank you. Then also, Madam, Doctor, Zambia is not moving in reverse gear. I heard you what you said. Let's move using the front by putting food-based dietary guidelines. We have done it already in Zambia. Then crop diversification, as I said. Then there is a very serious campaign for healthy diet. And this is being channeled by, as I said, the Vice President's office. And as I conclude, we are also promoting local and indigenous foods, which are pretty good, and we were just looking at them like a stigma. So we are there for you, and thanks to FAO, we are instruments of better environment, better production, better nutrition, and better life. I thank you.
Thank you so much. I will not try to summarize that tour de force, shall we say. But there are a few things I would like to pick up. Land linked, that is going to stick.
I like it.
It's beautiful. But the importance of political will, but not only will, but all of the communication down and back up. It's not a one-way flow of communication. It's extremely important. And maybe just perhaps to finalize, the focus on not forgetting that just focusing on production doesn't necessarily translate into better consumption. We must have actions that focus at both sides. Again, linking, somebody said in a meeting earlier today, I'm going to borrow that in apologies in advance, farm to fork, but also fork to farm, so that we remember exactly how to make that linkage very clear. So with that, I would like to move to Indonesia. Vice Minister, Indonesia has made remarkable experience in integrating climate-smart, nutrition-sensitive strategies into local food systems. What are your key success factors? What role does Indonesia's early warning system for food and nutrition vulnerability play in that regard? Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So basically, Indonesia has integrated our food system transformation into our national planning, whether it is for medium-term development plan, for example, for 2025 until 2029, or the long-term one, the 20 years one, from 2025 until 2045. And we like to ensure that nutrition is not treated as a standalone sector, but it is systematically integrated across food, agriculture, health, education, and social protection. So to foster the cross-sectoral collaboration and deliver co-benefits such as improved food security, poverty reduction, climate resilience, and poverty, we strengthen the long-term development plan into a more actionable plan, such as food and nutrition action plan. And we converge action planning across ministries and subnational governments. We also work with the Scaling Up Nutrition Network in Indonesia to work mainstream nutrition priorities and issues among multiple stakeholders. We align the framework, the SUN Common Result Framework, with the National Strategic Policy to reduce stunting, for example, and how we can also promote multi-sectoral approach. And also we are working on good practices to improve the awareness, the access to new solutions, as well as to promote innovation. So we have already have 5 existing networks that connect development partners, academia, professional organizations, the private sector, and civil society organization. And we are now working on the Indonesian President regulation on the prevention and acceleration of stunting reduction that we hope this can also integrate different line ministries' effort to achieve the common goals on reducing stunting. And with regards to nutrition-sensitive agriculture, we are now working on how the government can also provide incentives to the production, access of the food, and also affordability of diverse nutritious foods, especially local foods. As Indonesia also commit that our food system transformation will focus on local food, the eco-region approach. This will be done through policies that support climate resilience crops. We are working with the World Bank, for example, and we have with FAO for climate smart seed. And also we try to improve our way on providing subsidy for fertilizer for smallholder farmers, especially for rice and priority commodities, with a more direct benefit received by the farmers. Our food security early warning system also become one of the tools that we can monitor the status of food vulnerability regions. We engage with private sector in multiple partnership with the hope that we are not only incentivizing smallholder farmers and also less privileged communities, but also we work together on how we can align government priorities with companies, for example, for companies CSR or corporate responsible corporate social responsibility, and on how we can also align the different missions taken by the government and private sectors. One of the flagship program of the government, the current government, is the free nutritious meals and program. We hope that through this big program, it is not only focusing on improving the nutritious consumption by especially for the young students. But also we would like to develop the interconnection, the supply chains involving smallholder farmers, small and medium enterprises, and different actors in the community. So we are also working with the FAO, for example, with the UN agency on how we can promote the family farmers. This approach, we hope that by strengthening the farmers, we can also also providing them with the opportunity to directly sell their local produce to the program, such as the school meal program, but also introduce them a more climate resilience practices on how to use the small scale of land, a small amount of water to produce high and quality agricultural produce. This kind of effort, we hope that we can then provide the healthier ecosystem, not only focusing on the distribution of the food, but also to provide the food at the local level. And the option for us is also equipped or complemented with the national policy on how we can promote healthy living community movement. It is not about awareness of living healthy, but also on how they can promote also to apply responsible consumption. So it is not only from the production side, but also from the consumption side. Because we see that maybe some of the community, they have more money to buy a nutritious meal, but on the other side, another community need to be supported because of the low purchasing power or the low level of welfare. So the government work on different sectors, on different perspectives, not only from the agriculture, food, health, but also on how this different mission can converge into the provision of healthier food environments on driving for nutrition options for the farmers, for the population. I think that is all from me. Thank you. That's 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Just to highlight a few of the very interesting messages that you have highlighted, the importance of action both at the small scale and also the large scale of production with industry, cross-sectoral policy and planning in both the short term and the long term, as well as focusing on innovation, including for some of the input management, the scarce input management that is so critical across most of the contexts we've been hearing about today, and then focusing in on that critical part of vulnerable populations, school children, and others that have a unique needs and a unique opportunity to promote their health and well-being throughout life. So with that, I would like to turn to our last intervention in this segment from the Sun Scaling Up Nutrition Movement. So, Dr. Khan, Paris Nutrition for Growth resulted in approximately 29.5 billion in financial commitments, and roughly 40% of all commitments, both financial and political, were related to integrating nutrition into food systems and climate action. The FFD4 also had strong commitment to nutrition integration in its outcome documents. How is the Scaling Up Nutrition movement supporting countries to realize their N4G commitments through food systems transformation? And how does SUN's multi-stakeholder approach help? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Lynette, for the question, and I'm really delighted to be here and would like to thank the government of Ethiopia and Italy for hosting us. I think first and foremost, we have to recognize that Nutrition for Growth was a really huge opportunity to build synergy and a vision for integration where nutrition is better understood as a cross-cutting driver of resilience, development, and peace. Many of the Sun countries know that, and you'll hear that in their speeches around food systems transformation and the importance of nutrition. We've heard it from Brazil as part of their G20 alliance to end hunger and poverty. But I think too often we're still facing a series of silos that don't bring together the nutrition elements strongly enough. And if I look at the legacy of David Nabarro, who was the visionary that brought together the Sun movement in terms of a platform of multi-stakeholders bringing together the UN agencies, governments, development partners, civil society, small and medium enterprises and businesses, It was really about this vision for bringing together a multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral platform that brought together all stakeholders in a unified way, so we were able to integrate nutrition outcomes in each sector. What Nutrition for Growth did was allow countries to come forward with commitments to outcomes, including as part of food systems transformation. So, for example, Nepal pledged to increase biofortified crops with iron-rich rice, zinc-enriched maize by 30% to tackle micronutrient deficiencies, impacting food environments. Botswana, Egypt, Cambodia, all committed to food labeling reforms to help consumers make more informed choices about what they eat. So not only looking at not only looking at production, which Zambia so well illustrated, but also the consumer choices. And then policy coherence. We heard from Indonesia, they pledged coherence between nutrition, climate, and food policy, and that's very important for driving sustainable and resilient nutrition action. One of the biggest questions that comes out of Nutrition for Growth is how do we channel that $29.5 billion in pledges into action and use food systems transformation to deliver healthy diets and nutrition in line with the World Health Assembly targets and the Decade of Action for Nutrition that Dr. Tedros spoke about, healthier people and healthier economies, and that human capital that is so important to the nutrition agenda moving forward. And there's a stark reminder to all of us, I think, that healthy diets are unaffordable for over 80% of people in fragile and conflict-affected states. The barriers for many Sun countries are numerous, including limited agricultural budgets, huge debt burdens, huge malnutrition, reduced ODA, and limited fiscal space to raise domestic revenue, capacity, and market infrastructure. So often Sun countries have called to start with finance and look at what are some of the opportunities to unlock resources. And that includes green climate funds, greater focus on support from the multilateral development banks, but only a fraction of this is currently used for funding nutrition interventions. So we're looking at exploring with some countries co-financing from development banks and climate funds, and looking at how best to influence national development strategies, plans, and budgets to unlock this type of financing. Many Sun countries receive funding from this Green Climate Fund, the World Bank, or MDBs, but concessional financing and capital from financial markets, fragile and conflict-affected settings, we often see that they're unable to access this financing because the criteria and risk are considered too high, even though they're often the most in need. So we are calling for far more dedicated fragile state windows, supported with long-term technical assistance, a longer payback period, and that could go some way to reducing risk. And then we need to look at financial innovation as well. There are opportunities for debt swaps. Somalia is currently discussing this with Spain, and funding from foundations. We've seen them step up their commitments, but now it'll be important to understand how can Sun countries tap into these opportunities. And Sun is supporting countries to unpack their N4G commitments and turn them into investment-ready actions. So 10 countries supported to integrate nutrition into their climate plans. Lesotho is a good example of this, where nutrition is now part of the nationally revised determined contribution, helping the way to unlock climate financing. Since 2021, 13 countries have developed nutrition-sensitive food pathways with Sun support, so ensuring that nutrition is a core principle in national food systems transformation. I would like to end by saying that many countries face real constraints in technical capacity and access to finance. So this is where Sun, working as a platform with all of the stakeholders I spoke about, especially in fragile and conflict-affected settings, through cross-sector training, support for investment planning, we see this as pivotal. And we have some good innovations where we've seen, for example, South Sudan access seed funding from the Ignite Hub after participating in a Sun regional workshop focusing on innovation and food system transformation. So Sun is working to open up global financing opportunities like those available for climate adaptation and supporting countries to access them. And I want to emphasize that Sun as a movement works across several countries, including in Asia. So Pakistan is developing new financing modalities, including green bonds, sugar taxes, and carbon markets to make nutrition financing more predictable. So we also need that kind of innovation. And lastly, I'm really delighted that we've seen several of the Sun partners share their best practices, whether it's Zambia, whether it's Indonesia, whether it's some of the sessions that are being held at side events through Yemen, Mauritania, or others, to expand what are some of the best practices coming from the Sun countries. We'll continue to facilitate those peer-to-peer exchanges and learn from some of the best practices that have come out for multi-stakeholder platforms. I think of Côte d'Ivoire and their recent national follow-up to the Nutrition for Growth Summit that brought together civil society, the private sector, multilateral financial institutions, and others to deliver on the promise for N4G. So we need to move from not just commitments to coordinated, sustained actions, grounded in national priorities, and backed by smarter, more inclusive financing. This means translating pledges into policies, investments, and innovations that work for the people most at risk and leaving no one behind. So with Sun's support, countries are already laying the groundwork, aligning stakeholders, strengthening systems, and unlocking new sources of finance. And to scale these efforts, we need the kind of partnerships that we've seen across many different platforms for a joined-up commitment for action to make nutrition not just a development goal, but as many speakers have said, a foundation for resilient, equitable, and peaceful societies. And thanks for the opportunity, Lynette, to really bring this coalition together as a platform to make sure we help deliver on the strong foundation laid by France at the last Nutrition for Growth Summit.
Thank you so much, Afshan. You started out by saying we're still working in silos, but then you went on to tell us some really fantastic examples how we are moving beyond that work in silos and really seeing concrete progress in many countries towards breaking down those silos, planning from the outset, long-term vision, and of course that critical role of financing that is still a challenge, but we have seen opportunities, and as you mentioned, there are many more opportunities for that. And maybe just to reiterate the point that you made right at the front, the vision that David Nabarro had those years ago in the formation of Sun, and his critical role in the food systems process that has happened since then. I'm sure if he were here, he would be very happy to be hearing all of the stories that we've been hearing over the morning and the afternoon today. So before I pass the microphone back to Dr. Mukhtar, I would just like to invite all of you immediately after this session to come and join us in the Africa Hall for the launch of 2025 SOFI report. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you very much, Lynette, and thank you, distinguished panelists. This was very dynamic and inspiring dialogue. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after this high-level dialogue, our second block, a photo of the group. Okay, a photo of the group. Quick. Okay. All right. Ministers, can we have time? Thank you. Just go ahead. We don't have time. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Oh, we have to move. Okay, the two. Yes, go ahead. Thank you so much. All right. Now, our second block of 3 distinguished panelists from Brazil, Egypt, and IFAD will provide hands-on insights on turning commitment into action across sectors. And to moderate this exchange of real-life experience, I would like to invite my colleague, Mauro Brero, from UNICEF. Mauro, if you could join us, and also the distinguished panelists. Can I kindly ask panelists from Brazil, Egypt, and IFAD to join us? And I will just give you the floor. And Mauro, before you start the panel, please give us also some insight on remarks from UNICEF point of view, including improving food environment, to steer the discussion. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Mokhtar, and good afternoon, distinguished guests. I'm honored to join you and facilitate this panel alongside such esteemed speakers that I will introduce in a moment. But before we begin with the panel, I would like to emphasize the need to place children and the prevention of all forms of malnutrition at the very heart of the food system transformation agenda. Today, food systems are failing too many children in the world. Millions of children still lack access to the nutritious and affordable foods they need to grow well. As the Honorable Minister of Zambia was saying, too many children are eating day in and then out only staple food, and they don't have access to the nutrient-dense food they need to grow up healthy and to their full potential, like animal source food, fruit and vegetable, legumes and nuts. This is driving the rising levels of child food poverty and also undernutrition. Today we still have about 200 million children suffering from stunting and wasting. At the same time, food systems are flooding the food environment where children live, learn, and play with ultra-processed foods, which are nutrient-poor and high in harmful ingredients and additives. This is a key driver of the obesity pandemic, which affects 1 billion people today, among which 170 million children. We must shift the course, and we can. At UNICEF, we are focusing on 2 complementary and key commitments. The first one is to advance policies and regulatory frameworks, legal frameworks, that improve food environments and protect diets. These include front-of-pack labeling, marketing regulation, fiscal measures, and school nutrition policies. At the same time, we need also to invest in those companies which core business is healthy and nutritious food. For instance, there are initiatives like the Force Food Africa coordinated by UNICEF that are supporting and incentivizing local production of safe, nutritious foods for young children to tackle child food poverty and malnutrition. So we believe that through a principled engagement between the private and the public sector, we can really build a sustainable food system that can deliver the healthy diets and can be sustainable for the planet that we need. This said, I would like now to introduce our panelists. First of all, I would like to introduce Ms. Lilian Rahal, National Secretary of Food and Nutrition Security at the Ministry of Social Development in Brazil. Please welcome Ms. Rahal with an applause. Second, I would like to introduce Professor Radi Hamad. He's the first Undersecretary and Head of Preventive Medicine and Public Health at the Ministry of Health and Population in the Arab Republic of Egypt. Welcome. And I would also like to introduce Ms. Sarah Mbangombunu, Director of the East and Southern Africa Division at the International Fund for Agricultural Development Headquarters. So, Ms. Lilian Rahal, my first question is for you. It is actually a twofold question. So, Brazil has taken so many innovative actions in nutrition. Can you share with us some examples, such as the new basic food basket, which is based on the Brazilian dietary guidelines, and tell us what is special about it? And then also link it to the Brazilian framework to the food system for climate. How are you planning to take this forward to COP30, and where do nutrition and healthy diets fit in?
Thank you very much, Mauro, for the invitation and the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Mokhtar, for this invitation. And ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, it's a great pleasure to participate in this high-level panel on transforming food systems for healthy diets and nutrition for all. In Brazil, we still face a multidimensional food and nutrition crisis. We reduced food insecurity a lot, and really a lot, but at the same time, obesity and other diet-related diseases are rising rapidly, especially among the most vulnerable populations. The growing presence of ultra-processed foods, the erosion of traditional food cultures, and increasingly unhealthy food environments, particularly in urban peripheries, have all contributed to this crisis. Meanwhile, the climate emergency adds a new layer of complexity, exacerbating existing inequalities in food production and access. The health and social impacts are profound. In Brazil, nearly 30% of the increase in obesity between 2002 and 2009 was associated with the consumption of ultra-processed products. In 2019, these products were responsible for more than 57,000 premature deaths. In this context, I would like to respond to your question, Mauro, by sharing 3 interconnected initiatives that are helping Brazil in advancing to promote healthy diets and more equitable food systems. First, I will briefly explain our new obesity prevention strategy that will be launched very soon. We now, in Brazil, we are recognizing that obesity, like hunger, is a social problem. It disproportionately affects marginalized groups and requires intersectoral and intersectional action. This approach moves beyond the individual and addresses the social determinants of health, including obesogenic environments, income and education inequalities, unhealthy food marketing, social stigma, structural racism, and inadequate urban planning. Our strategy is organized around 3 key pillars: healthy food environments and urban space, social protection and integrated care, social engagement and mobilization. Second, I want to talk a little bit about the new basic food basket. In 2024, Brazil launched a bold and innovative initiative, this new basic food basket that was established by a decree. This is not merely a list of items. It is a strategic policy instrument to realign our food systems with the principles of health, equity, sustainability, and culture. What makes this initiative unique? It is grounded in the Brazilian Dietary Guidelines, a globally recognized framework that integrates nutrition, cultural heritage, and environmental sustainability. The new basic basket, like the guide, the Brazilian Dietary Guideline includes fresh and minimally processed foods, culinary ingredients, and foods from Brazilian socio-biodiversity in most of the 10 groups of food that we used to classify food in the basket. And at the same time, we explicitly excluded ultra-processed products. It also respects, respects regional diversity and healthy eating patterns rooted in local traditions. Summarizing, it is being used as a tool to guide our policies and programs of food security, like procurement, rural credits, procurement food, rural credit for family farmers, among others, like our fiscal reforms that we began last year. And in our fiscal reform, we exempted from taxes the food basket products as a way to promote access to adequate and healthy food. And just to end here, really, because I don't have any time, I just want to say that we have this new initiative on food systems and climate policy. It's a framework for public policies that we developed in Brazil. It aims to guide the development of more just, integrated, and climate-resilient public policies. We have a card here that I will give for people who want, and so you can access a summary of this initiative that is really important and that will be really launched at the COP30. According to the main objectives that are being treated in the ambience of the COP30 for the COP presidents. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harley. It is really inspiring to see how Brazil is using the solid evidence that we have today on the harmful impact of ultra-processed food on people and planet to develop solid policy actions. And we look forward to see the results of this great policy framework that you are implementing. I would like now to turn to Egypt. Professor Radi Hamad, Egypt's commitment to integrating nutrition, food system, and climate action is ambitious, both at home and internationally through your COP27 legacy. What tangible results have you observed so far, and through which mechanism has the Ministry of Health been working together with other ministries, including agriculture and climate?
Thank you, Mauro, for your question, and I'm really delighted to be joining this esteemed panel. Excellencies, colleagues and partners, ladies and gentlemen, Egypt firmly believes that the continuous improvement in food system is a national development priority, not only in Egypt, but also in each country in the globe. In alignment with 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Egypt Vision 2030, we have taken ambitious and tangible steps to reposition nutrition and healthy diet at the heart of our national food system, and integrating nutrition in the process of food system transformation. In COP27, which was held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, Egypt launched the initiative on climate action and nutrition, ICAN. ICAN called for transforming food system to become both nutrition sensitive and climate resilient, aim to promote the integration of climate action with nutrition policies and the program. In 2023, Egypt officially launched its National Food and Nutrition Strategy 2023-2030, which set a comprehensive multi-sectoral roadmap to promote food security, healthy diet, and nutrition equity. This strategy is rooted in food system transformation, following the principle of sustainability and resilience. To foster our action and set up detailed activity and key indicators, etc., also we launched operational plan Operational Action Plan for Food and Nutrition System 2025-2030. This plan serves as concrete implementation framework. It integrates nutrition across food, agriculture, health, education, social protection, and environmental system. Also, you participated in conversion initiative. Allow me to give you a few examples of the ongoing activity in Egypt. We have all the program for iodized all edible salt in Egypt, which is supported by the government, and manufacturers get benefit from this program. And recently, we have launched a national initiative to fortify the bread, with aiming to combat anemia and neural tubal defect. Also, we have a school feeding program, which currently reach over 13 million children to deliver micronutrient adjusted food in order to support child growth, learning, and equity. Also, in 2024, we launched Manual for Health Message for Egyptian Family, a comprehensive guideline to empower families with scientifically validated, culturally appropriate messages to promote health practices, improve dietary habits, and prevent non-communicable diseases across all stages of life. It is a key pillar in supporting community-based health and nutrition education. Also, we have NOAFI. It is a nexus of water, food, energy platform. This platform is for green project. It aims to integrate water, food, energy sector within framework of accessible, sustainable financing to support climate action and the green development. All of this and more, you can see a reflection of our effort since COP27 until now to be committed to addressing healthy diets. Regarding the second part for your question, rapidly pass through it to how Ministry of Health and Population working with other ministry toward our goals. I think the key word here is multi-sectoral coordination. Added to this multi-sector coordination is the governance. Egypt enhanced its national governance structure by establishing a national committee for food and nutrition system as a multi-sectoral platform to coordinate and guide national effort toward sustainable and integrated food system transformation. The committee is chaired by Prime Minister, and the General Secretary include every minister's related government body, private sector, key stakeholders. Finally, I could say our collaboration and coordination is a cornerstone for good. Food is more than sustenance. It is identity, it is a hope. It's a future where a child born today will grow and learn. Together, we can build food systems that reflect our highest value and deliver the promise of health for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Hamad. It is really impressive to see how so many different sectors are coming together in a coherent policy strategies with high-level leadership, and we look forward to see more results as we progress. I would like to turn to Ms. Sarah Mbango from IFAD. IFAD has a strong commitment to nutrition integration into agriculture. How are you translating this into concrete cross-sectoral investments in food system at the country level, and how can this support countries?
No, thank you, Mauro. Indeed, IFAD believes that nutrition is actually the business. No. Oh, no, I think now it's okay. It's actually everybody's business. So the way smallholder farmers produce food, the way that food is consumed, and the way that families and society interact with cultural norms and food consumption just spells out how nutrition is threaded throughout life. And I think this is exactly the approach that IFAD is taking. We mainstream nutrition and nutrition financing targets through all of our investments. Very concretely at national level, how do we translate this? We firstly develop business cases around nutrition, specific and contextualized to the country. We identify priorities, entry points, and national commitments. Then we bring stakeholders around those priorities and entry points, and to really establish multi-sectoral inclusive platforms. And then we design operations that have triple returns by bringing in and co-financing climate finance, bringing in IFAD financing, bringing in domestic financing. We are an assembler of development finance. We also bring into the same operation private sector finance, and also financing from communities that we are touching and aiming to transform. So through this assembly of different financing streams, we really mainstream the objectives and nutrition objectives of all those stakeholders. We also then put this lens, this nutrition lens, cutting through micro-level investments, cutting through provincial level investments, and cutting through national level investments to ensure that we reach targets. IFAD looks at minimum dietary diversity for women as the main indicator of change, and this is what we monitor right across. We have committed 60% of all IFAD financing for IFAD 13, which ends in 2027, to achieve our nutrition goals. So, in addition to this, what we're looking at is nutrition-sensitive value chains. We are also looking at nutrition education that the professor also mentioned. We're looking at school-based nutrition programs. We are integrating WASH through our irrigation programs. We are also looking at promoting neglected and underutilized species with the work that we're doing with the CGIAR together with the European Union and other providers of grants and subsidies. So we are looking at whole systems, and we're also looking at value chains, and we're also looking at private sector. Finally, I would like to say, when we unlock capital and when we look at blended finance, equity finance that we're providing to SMEs, for instance, we incentivize them to produce and manufacture healthy food. In Uganda, we are working with Pristine Food. I think many of you might know the company, also working with UNICEF. Mauro might know. We put equity financing into that business. They started off with liquid eggs, now they're producing egg powder, and this has a great impact for stunting. So those are the types of business.
The interpreters regret to announce that interpretation time has come to an end. Thank you.
Working through public development banks as well, we can unlock smarter financing for nutrition. So I would just like to end by saying that nutrition is not a silo. You can actually design programs that look at multiple returns. And I end because very inspired by the minister from Zambia. We've had a huge rural finance program in Zambia, and this rural finance program touched 600,000 households, but it didn't only just look at deepening rural finance, it actually had returns on nutrition. The small-scale holder farmers accessed financing for dairy, for milk, and on the other hand for pulses and vegetables. And at the end, that program is closed, but we're scaling it up. The mobile and digital finance really translated into healthier diet. So that was a very powerful impact in the Zambian context. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sarah. It is really great to see IFAD work and how you can be context-specific and centered at the community level and bring together all these key multi-stakeholders. Unfortunately, we run out of time. The session started a bit late, so we are paying a little bit the delay of others, and we will not have time to take intervention from the floor. I regret to inform you about this, but in 15 minutes the mics will be shut off, and so we need to pass to the closing remark. Yeah. But before going there, I would like just to have another round of applause for our amazing panelists and thank them very much for their contribution. Over back to you, Mokhtar.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mauro, and thank you, distinguished panelists. Thank you, it was really amazing. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I have now the honor to call upon Mrs. Chrysoula Zakharopoulou, France Special Envoy and former Secretary of State for Development, Francophonie and International Partnership, to give us the closing remarks. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Excellence, je veux parler français. Excellence, mesdames et messieurs, tout d'abord, je voulais remercier tous les panélistes et merci aussi pour tous les exemples. Le ministre de Zambie, où j'ai eu la chance d'y aller, et plusieurs fois en particulier. L'accès à une alimentation saine est un droit fondamental. C'est une condition de santé, d'éducation, de stabilité et surtout de dignité humaine. Et pourtant, il reste inaccessible pour des millions de personnes. C'est pourquoi, comme vous avez tous dit, nous devons repenser en profondeur et transformer nos systèmes alimentaires. Non pas en les opposant aux priorités économiques, sociales ou climatiques, mais à la fin en les plaçant au cœur de notre action pour atteindre les objectifs de développement durable. La nutrition n'est pas un objectif isolé, comme vous avez dit, c'est un levier transversal. Elle influence santé, éducation, égalité des gens, la lutte contre la pauvreté, l'agriculture durable et même l'action climatique. Autrement dit, agir sur la nutrition, c'est agir sur tous les fronts à la fois. La France, alors, mon pays, porte cette ambition. Nous avons une nouvelle stratégie nationale pour l'alimentation, la nutrition et le climat, construite avec tout l'ensemble des parties prenantes. Cette stratégie vise mieux coordonner nos politiques, garantir un accès équitable à une alimentation saine, soutenir des régimes bons pour la santé et pour la planète et renforcer la recherche et l'évaluation.